Did you know that your life expectancy is 7 to 15 years longer and healthier if you experience a strong sense of belonging? Yeah, it's a big deal. And of course, this is very relevant if you're watching this from a place where belonging may be affected in your life. For example, if you're in a major life transition, like many expat partners experience. And you know what's most frustrating? That advice that you should just go out there and meet people. And that is what most people think, that you can solve a lack of belonging by meeting people, joining groups, or staying connected to those you already know. But I think we all know it's absolutely possible to have frequent social contact, a busy calendar, and plenty of people to talk to, and still feel like you don't really belong. A full calendar, but an empty heart. In psychological research, belonging refers to a felt sense of being recognized, accepted, and valued as oneself within a social context. Now think about that for a moment. Isn't that what we all want in the end? To be fully ourselves, not having to pretend, and to be not only accepted, but even valued and loved for being yourself? That we matter to others just the way that we are. We know and feel intuitively that this is very important. And it's no coincidence that research also indeed very clearly shows that belonging is a big deal and not a luxury. It plays a functional role in how humans operate. One of the things research shows is that belonging supports nervous system regulation, identity coherence, motivation and engagement, and our willingness to invest energy into life. And as I said before, studies even link sustained belonging and social integration to a longer life expectancy. And the other way around, when it's missing, it's about as dangerous to your health and your life as smoking. I think it's clear that this is not a nice to have, but something biologically relevant. Belonging is layered, and there's even different types of belonging. It's crucial to know that it's not just about who you're connected to, it's also where and how you're connected. And as we said, merely interacting is not enough. It must bring something meaningful. We can think about belonging as having 3 core ingredients: recognition, fit, and context. Recognition is about being seen accurately for who you are and what you bring. Or in short, I am seen. The ingredient fit has to do with the extent to which your way of being makes sense in the interaction without constant effort. Because we don't feel true fit if we feel like we have to squeeze ourselves in a shape that's not right, or if we are feeling like we have to wear a mask all the time. In short, fit says the authentic me makes sense here. Context is the aspect of a stable environment supporting that recognition over time. Or I keep being welcome as my true self. Now, together, these elements give us the confirmation of there's a stable and matching place for me here. Not just any person that can slot in, but it's the real me in coherence here. The interesting thing is that belonging is contextually shaping you, and that you in turn also shape the context. Let me explain that. Belonging provides mirrors. This is part of that recognition ingredient. We understand who we are partly through how others respond to us, how they recognize our strengths, values, and way of being. In everyday life, roles and relationships constantly answer questions like, am I competent here? Do people respond to me in a way that match with how I experience myself? Does my behavior land as intended in this context? Without those mirrors, we don't get clear signals about how we're landing, what's expected of us, or where our strengths are recognized. And that would create this off feeling, not emotional distress per se, but more of an reduced internal coherence. Also, if other people don't reflect our true selves back to us, or maybe more of that mask that we've been showing, that in turn has influence on our sense of that organic, natural good fit. The other way around, our presence in a social context influences the same for other people. Belonging is a breathing, living phenomenon. Now, what makes this such an important topic in the expatriate context? Expat partners often experience significant belonging gaps. This is because relocation often affects multiple layers of belonging at once. It touches all of these ingredients that we talked about simultaneously. Moving in such an entirely different environment, we, at least initially, have way less of these mirrors. We're not seen as clearly and as well for who we are. And we're not sensing that stable sense of, this is where I am, this is where I'm stable, where I can be my full self and be valued for it. On top of that, there's asymmetry between partners. One partner often enters a structured system immediately, a workplace and a role, while the other doesn't. Even if the working partner doesn't feel true belonging yet, they will still have access to some of the ingredients. And for the partner, that difference in access matters a lot. Asymmetry amplifies awareness of the belonging gap and makes it harder to ignore or neutralize that. And in a way, it's even part of the belonging gap itself, created by that strain of being constantly exposed to that access to belonging without having access to it yourself. It makes you feel more of an outsider, literally not belonging to the group of people who belong somewhere. Even if that belonging is not the feeling that the people in that group experience themselves. A common question in the expat circles is, if you move with your partner or family, shouldn't that be enough for belonging? I am sure you have an amazing family, yet conceptually the answer is still no, because belonging is multi-contextual. And even more so, if all belonging needs are loaded onto the family unit, this will increase the pressure, distort roles, and often lead to growing frustration. So yes, family is essential, but it can't carry all belonging functions on its own. Another common question is, well, this life that we live here is temporary. Is it possible or even necessary to generate belonging here? The research-informed answer is nuanced. Belonging does require presence in the here and now, even if we know that presence will not be permanent. Many expats and their partners tend to try and fulfill their needs for belonging from their existing social context. And staying connected to your old life can indeed be stabilizing. It supports identity continuity and emotional safety. At the same time, it cannot fully replace present moment contextual belonging. Your nervous system and identity are shaped by where you live your daily life, not just who you stay in touch with. That's why I said it's not just who you connect with, it's also where and how. For expats and their partners, I recommend to be selective. Trying to maintain your entire social system from the past is usually unsustainable. It fragments attention and splits presence. A more helpful way is to ask yourself, who do I genuinely want to stay connected with? Who are the people I want to return to, who I want to be there for me when I return to them or move with me forward to the next chapter? That kind of selective continuity supports identity without keeping the present life on hold. What if real belonging isn't possible here because of the fact that we're in this temporary environment. This is an unspoken worry behind many expatriate experiences. So let's look at that. Belonging is not an all or nothing. It's not an on or off. There's nothing that can make us say, ah, yes, now I belong. It exists on a spectrum and across domains. Also, things don't fall apart if you don't find deep, lifelong friendships as soon as possible. And even with these scary statistics about health and longevity, you don't have to worry that you're losing precious years of life because you're in this in-between space right now. Thank goodness it doesn't work that way. What does matter is whether some key belonging functions are met. Therefore, it's extremely beneficial to, over time, find or generate a context where you're recognized for who you are, where your strengths are visible, and where your presence feels relevant. And yes, that is best if that's not exclusively tied to your old context. Many people, in fact, do find such a context, especially keeping in mind that the spectrum is probably much wider than you may initially think of. You could be thinking of a project, a learning environment, a recurring activity, a role, however small, or even one or two resonant connections. Belonging doesn't require a grand social circle or a fully booked calendar. We've already established that a full calendar does not guarantee a full heart at all. What it requires is at least one context of accurate relational contact where all three ingredients of belonging are present. What would it take to generate more belonging in your life? Well, this is, of course, a rather big question that is not easily answered in a short video like this. Not in the last place because, well, we're humans and we're not all the same. We don't fit in a formula. We do know that the well-intended advice to meet other people is foundational, but it's clearly not enough. So what else do you need? Research shows that there are several factors involved to help you find your tribe, your place, and you can absolutely influence it. It starts with specific skills and abilities in creating and maintaining connections, and that includes cultural competencies and factors. It's also about having and creating opportunities to belong and how to do that. And that also involves removing things that are hindering, like negative past experiences that are holding you back, maybe a fear of rejection, for example, maybe wearing a mask, or maybe not fully investing in the place where you are now. I personally know how tough it can be to navigate the terrains of belonging. For one, being an expat partner myself, I know what it's like dealing with the effects of such big transitions. And also, I've more in my life than not felt like I'm not easily, truly and deeply fitting and belonging, even though I consider myself a very social person. It's a weird space that can feel very lonely and confusing. And now all of these themes, belonging and feeling like you can be your full, true self and living life fully, is something I am very passionate about, because I deeply believe that we cannot wait for life to fall upon us one day or that it will begin one day. We must design and live it now. If we haven't met yet, I am Ava, and I work as an identity and life design coach and consultant with expat partners, leaders, and high achievers, navigating complex transitions, role shifts, and identity recalibration. Today, I shared this information with you to give you more understanding and acknowledgement of how it's even possible to be in contact with others and still don't experience a sense of belonging. You now know why belonging is so important for human beings and why major life transitions like expat life put extra pressure on belonging. The temporary character of the situation makes it even more complex to navigate, because how do you invest in belonging somewhere where you know you won't stay? As I said, there are indeed very concrete things you need to generate more belonging in your life, even when you're in a temporary chapter. And this is not all. Belonging is only one of the 6 impact areas that expat partners face in the dynamics of these transitions. Today, we talked about the belonging gap, but there are 5 other areas you need to know about to feel like your true self fully. Everything from self-discrepancy to agency contraction, role misalignment, identity time zone drift, and embodied tension. Understanding which of these are active and most prevalent to you matters, because otherwise people try and solve the wrong problem. That's why I created the Expat Partner Impact Consult, or EPIC for short, for you that you can book with me today. In this one-on-one consult, we look at these 6 normal ways transitions impact expats and their partners, and what concrete step would serve you best at this time. Before the consult, you'll answer a number of questions about these 6 areas of impact, and we'll dive deeper into those during the consult itself. You'll walk away with clarity and confidence about exactly how you're most impacted and what fitting next actions would benefit you in your unique situation. Navigating expat life, especially as an expat partner, requires specific insight and tools. This is not one of those sloppy, generic conversations you may have had before where things stay superficial. I genuinely dislike that cookie cutter horoscope style approach where you still have to figure out how to concretely apply everything by yourself. That's not how I work. I push myself every minute of the day in providing concrete step-by-step structure while consistently adjusting it to the person I work with instead of trying to squeeze a person into my structure. We established today how important mirroring is, so I want to be able to provide exactly that for you, a space where you can be your full, true self and be seen and valued for it. To do that, the only investment that I ask of you is your time and your honesty. Bring your real self so we can talk real. So if you're ready to feel more real in life, to navigate your expat life with clarity and direction, where you can be your true self and feel valued for it, I highly recommend that you book your Expat Partner Impact Consult now through the link near this video. And I'm so looking forward to meeting you personally, seeing you and hearing you, because life is too precious, too fragile to put it on a shelf just because you're living in a temporary situation. Not under my watch. You deserve to live, love, and lead fully from the inside out, no matter where you are or for how long. Click that link to book your epic, and I'll talk to you soon.